Hello neighbors, it's Brad here from etrailer, and today we are taking a look at installing the CURT RVibrake 4 portable braking system on a 2018 Jeep Wrangler JK Unlimited. And if you're flat towing your Wrangler, something that's going to be required is going to be a braking system, and you're left with quite a few options. Really the main two things that you can pick from are going to be portable as well as a fixed. Well, this falls into the portable category and really serves a great purpose for those of you that maybe don't flat tow full-time or a lot, because really all you have to do is get this plugged in the footwell and it's going to be working pretty easily. Whereas a fixed system is really nice. It takes away any setup, but the installation does scare people off. This installation is super easy. One of the drawbacks that people find with a portable system, besides the quick setup that you have to do, is going to be storing this when you're out driving your vehicle. You have to have it with you while you're out flat towing your vehicle so you can set it up for the next time you're on the road. But they've really solved the footprint issue as far as space. This is one of the smallest portable systems that I've seen personally, and they've done a really good job of making it really nice and, well, honestly portable, because it has a built-in handle, which is really nice, but also little things like cable storage, where you can even put your 12-volt outlet plug in here. It's going to keep it nice and tidy. Even the claw that goes around your brake pedal and the cylinder store really nicely. And then when you are ready to get it all set up, it talks you through everything, and really once you get it put in, clamped around the pedal, push the button 3 times, you're pretty well ready to go. If that setup is something that's really, maybe causing you to look at a fixed system, one of the pros I think of portable systems is you can take this from vehicle to vehicle to vehicle. So if you don't plan on keeping the Wrangler forever as your flat tow vehicle, you can take this along with you. Whereas a fixed system, it's kind of permanently installed. You can take them out, but it's more of a pain than anything. Whereas this, it's really not going to be a problem. As far as working on your Wrangler, it is going to be a little bit unique as far as the mounting bracket that they include that's specific for the JK Wranglers, and I'll show you how to get that all installed. Installation of this is super easy. You're really just going to be running a breakaway switch. Now you may want to add a 12-volt outlet kit, which we did. It's very simple, and that way you can get direct power to this. But beyond that, there's not a whole lot to it. This is something you're probably going to want to do at the same time as the rest of your flat tow components. So if this installation or your base plate or diodes or really any of your flat tow setup is worrying you when it comes to that installation part, don't worry. There's people out there that can get that installed for you, and you can find someone close to you by using our dealer locator. Simply put in your zip code, find a list of shops close to you. They can take care of that installation for you so you can be on the road flat towing in no time. But if you're tackling the rest of this yourself, and you're tackling base plates and diodes, this is going to be a breeze, and I'm going to show you exactly how to do it on your Wrangler. So let's take a look at that. The first step is going to be getting our breakaway switch, and really when it comes to the installation, there's not a whole lot to this. So our breakaway switch, just like any other braking system, is going to get mounted on the front, and this cable is going to run into the firewall and eventually down to where we're going to be mounting up our brake at the floorboard. So there's plenty of extra cable here. And a lot of times your base plate will have an attachment point for your breakaway switch, depending on brand. If they don't, well, they've actually included a nice little bracket here with some grommets and hardware and some hook and loop. So you're not stuck if you don't have a mounting tab for your breakaway switch. The main thing is making sure that it's going to be nice and secure. Just in case that cable was to ever pull, we want this rigid so that cable will eject. So ours is going to be mounted up right by our 6-pole. So I will not have to use the hardware they included. I kind of sourced my own bolt and nylon washer here. And so what I'm going to do is just feed my cables in, and our tab is just a welded on bracket with a hole. So this is going to live here, and so I'll get this all attached. When running this cable, there's really no perfect way to do it, but the main thing is that we're avoiding anything that's hot, moving, anything that can chafe the wire, basically making sure that it's going to be safe. So a lot of times, if you can find factory wire loom to kind of follow along and zip tie it up as you go, that's generally going to be the easiest way to do it. And on this vehicle, the firewall is actually pretty easy to get to, and the grommet's also easy to poke through, so pretty simple. Something I am going to do, this is our cable that will attach to our breakaway and eventually the hitch on our RV. So in case of a catastrophic disconnect, this is the last line of defense. It takes quite a bit of pressure for this to pull. If our tow bar or connections failed, this would pull and apply the brakes. That way the vehicle's not rolling down the road. So I'm just gonna clip this on here for now, and then I'm gonna run this through our grommet, and then I'll show you the path that I took. Now the path that I chose, I just kind of went over, and you're gonna find that you have factory wire loom that's right by our sway bar. So just zip tie it up to that. There's the steering that's right here. So we wanna make sure it's not gonna get pinched in here. The factory wire loom just kind of loops around it, so I followed suit. And then when we get to this point, right before the engine mount, I zip tied it up there. And there is a heat shield that goes around that, but we have our belt and exhaust here. So I ended up shooting our wire up, and I'll lower the vehicle down and show you where I fed it through. So as I pulled this up, I did want to be conscious of the steering shaft. So as I kind of routed it, I just kept it low on the steering shaft. And then as I pulled the wire up, there was a small part off of our power steering here. There's just a plastic tab that I zip tied the wire up, and that's going to keep it underneath the steering and out of the way. I then pulled it up and wrapped it underneath this plug. So that leaves us with a decent amount of excess here to be able to run to the system. And our grommet is located on the right of the booster. It's just a black circle. It's really easier, I think, to do it from the inside. You'll see it pretty quickly if you look underneath the footwell. And it's kind of a rubberized sticker of sorts. So if you just poke a hole with a screwdriver, it is still pretty tough to feed that through. So what I ended up doing was just feeding a long zip tie through the grommet, and that becomes my pull wire. You don't have to use a zip tie. Anything that you can poke through there, it could be a long screwdriver, but then you can tape this plug up and pull it from the inside, and it should make it a little bit easier. So that's what I'm gonna do now. On the firewall, driver's side footwell, look up, you'll find that grommet pretty easily. Once I get everything all set up, I will go back with some RTV silicone just to seal that up so we don't get any water inside. Now you're gonna notice that I also have some black wires going through there as well, and that is for our 12-volt outlet kit that I ran. That is something that you're gonna want to power up our braking system. And we picked up the Roadmaster kit. It's super easy to use. More than likely, you will need to extend some wires on it for it to go to the battery, but I just mounted that up kind of by our OBD2 port. That'll be a nice spot to plug in. That just runs directly to the battery to give 12-volt power to that outlet, so our braking system always stays powered. Now, before we get the braking system in and everything paired together, what we're gonna do is get our phantom bracket out. And this is nice that it's included. A lot of other portable systems just kind of sit in the floorboard and they'll say, you know, with floor mats or whatever it may be, you want to make sure that it's going to be nice and solid. Some of them have a seat bracket and you rest it against the seat, but there's still cushion. And that was always my struggle with portable systems, is there is that wiggle room and they kind of start to slop around a little bit. Something that's cool on this one, and specifically for JK Jeeps, is going to be the phantom bracket. They designate exactly where you're supposed to put it. So on our seat, you'll find the front mounting spots. This hump here is going to be a spot that we can mount up our bracket, and then the back of the braking system can rest against this. So when it's applying the brake and pushing that cylinder, it doesn't really have a place to go, and that way you're getting full braking. To get this mounted up, it's actually pretty simple. We're going to be drilling 4 screws. So we have a carpet retainer. This will sit on the carpet. This bracket will go over top, and then we'll run those screws into the floorboard. And then our bracket just slides into place whenever we're ready to get our braking system in. So I'm going to get this mounted up. I am going to put the braking system in place to kind of make sure that it's exactly where I want it, and then I'll show you how it looks. I got this bracket mounted up. I used that plate, and the self-tapping screws just kind of sent them in. It's pretty well in line with the bolts as far as the seat mount, and I figure that's probably a good spot as far as reference, and then kind of center it up in that flat spot. And it's a really cool design because this little stopper just slides in here, and then our braking system, what we can do to get it in place is we can get this clawed up first. So we'll just go on the back side here and then pull up this spring-loaded lever. That should go around the brake pedal there. And then this adjusts. So if, you know, it's as you start in the back and you pull this back, it's going to kind of ratchet into place where it needs to be. So that's backed up all the way, and this bracket's going to keep it from moving. So really cool little design there. Now we do need to get this paired. So for this process, we're going to plug in our 12-volt power. So that's a cable that's normally wrapped around here. You can get that undone and put it into your 12-volt outlet. Now you're going to want to grab your bullseye and get the USB-C that's included, plug it in the bottom. We are going to keep hearing this guy. That's fine. We can kind of ignore him for now. It comes with a cigarette style plug, which is nice for the USB-C, as a lot of vehicles just don't have these anymore. I have it plugged into my box, but this would go into your RV and you can test it. You might want an extra set of hands just to double check everything while you're doing this process. So first thing is we need to pair it. So it should scan the device, come up with the serial number that's on the side of your braking system. So we'll just put that. They're going to give you a nice, you did it, you're a genius. So positivity, love it. We'll just hit done here. And then you can insert your breakaway cable. So now we'll just plug that into the side. Now we'll grab our breakaway switch cable and we're going to plug that in. And now we can listen to this guy. We'll push the auto position button 3 times, but we'll cycle it each time. So there's 1, there's 2, there's 3. Our compressor kicked on. Now you'll see this is kind of moving as that compressor goes, but the cool part is when it goes to brake again, this bracket should keep it all in place. And that's what... Look at that. We're almost ready. We want to make sure that this is dialed in. Go to the stop sign, brake, and determine the brakes. So on our JK today, it's vacuum. And I selected small SUV. I think that kind of fits the category the best for this Jeep. And then there's also a brake test that you can do while driving. So if you wanted to adjust this, you know, maybe it needs a little bit more braking, you could go to large SUV, but the brake test will allow you to drive around about 30 miles per hour, push this, and it's going to apply the brakes and kind of drag the vehicle behind you. You should feel it tugging. If you're not feeling anything, adjust it to a higher vehicle. If it's too much, you can go down. So that's really up to you to get that dialed in. And then as far as sensitivity goes, some diesel pushers are just huge, and a Jeep behind it, they're not really going to notice it much. So there's really no, I'm not going to say need for the braking system, but only in emergencies. So if that's the case, you could put it to panic only, and this is only going to kick on during those emergency situations when you're really hitting the brakes or if the breakaway is pulled. Our neighbor today is using a Winnebago it's a Sprinter chassis. So those are not exactly heavy comparatively. So I put that to normal. I think that's going to be the best setup for them. With it all paired together, everything's working properly. We got our auto positioning working. I'm going to give it a test in drive mode, just pushing the brake. We can see that it's applying. It's not moving around. So everything's looking really good here. Compressor is going to run a little bit to get that air pressure back. But beyond that, we're going to get this mounted up in the RV if you haven't already. And as far as the vehicle side, that's it. So that's really the cool part about this system. You know, if you're really just trying to get your vehicle flat towed down the road, the braking system is always the one that kind of freaks people out along with diodes. But this one truly makes it super simple. It talks you through everything. So we'll see what we got to do on the RV side. I know there is a booster depending on your signal, I think for some of those larger coaches, but we'll take a closer look at that as well. Now, the last piece of the puzzle is going to be the range extender, and this goes on the RV side. So, you know, longer coaches, that's a fairly far distance for that wireless signal to travel. So we want to make sure that we always have contact with our braking system. So if you have a larger coach and you're worried about it reaching on our Sprinter today, I really don't worry, but you can put this range extender in place using hook and loop or double-sided adhesive, and you can stick this anywhere in the engine bay. And it just has small alligator clips that attach to your battery. So you just plug that into your RV's battery, put this somewhere near the engine compartment. You have a decent amount of length here, but this should boost that range. That way we always have contact with our bullseye as well as our braking system. Now we got all of our components all hooked up, our vehicle's in flat tow mode, and we went and did our brake test. So once you do all that, you're ready to start enjoying your new CURT RVi Brake 4 braking system on your 2018 Jeep Wrangler. If you've installed this yourself or had it installed and you're out there using it on the road, let us know your experiences. I'd love to figure out more about this braking system. Maybe there's something I missed. Being that it is my first time dealing with it, I'm highly impressed, but I'd also like to know what you all think. Thanks for joining us for a look and installation of the CURT RVi Brake 4 portable braking system.